Hello, everybody. This is DFS Chan coming to you here to talk about January 20th League of Legends DFS slate. Coming to you here live to talk about the two-gamer of the LCK. I apologize, first of all, not posting a video yesterday. I had a child. My child was sick, so I had to take care of him. Had some medical issues, so but he's better now, so I think we're fine, hopefully, in that regard. So, but I apologize still. I didn't give you guys a heads up, but hopefully you guys did pretty well still. It was a pretty chalky slate. It really depended on which long stack versus short stack you used. So obviously analyzing that kill upside in those matchups was critical in making that decision. And I will talk a little bit about that element here today as well. And on a two-game slate like this, that's always important to talk about and kind of go with your analysis based on data and based on your gut, and just based on how you think will the games will pan out. So yeah, let's dive in. It's a two-game slate. First, we have Fred at Breon, or sorry, I keep saying Fred at Breon, but now they have a different sponsor. OK Savings Bank Breon versus Fox, which is formerly known as Live Sandbox. It's a toss-up game. I agree with the odds here. I'll go into who I think will win based on my analysis that I've done so far, and based on my eye test. And then the second matchup in the LCK today or tomorrow morning is going to be Nongshim Red Force versus Gen G, which is the juggernaut in the LCK, who beat T1 a few days ago. Let me quickly make sure that I have this one working. Okay, perfect. Just making sure. Sorry. All right. Sorry, I'm not I'm not technologically savvy when it comes to these, so I probably don't even have the right equipment to do these videos. But nonetheless, I wanted to connect with you guys and share some insights. Hopefully, it makes it better for everybody's experience with DFS, especially in League of Legends, because I want the popularity to continue, and that's why I'm doing this for the sport. All right. So the first matchup is the critical one to target, I guess, or to talk about, because I think a lot of people will pick Fred Breon or Breon. I'm just gonna call it Breon. I think they're gonna be a popular underdog for the right reason. They look pretty good, but then at the same time in their matchup, I guess it was D plus Kia. Um, I was looking at the metrics here, and I was not very impressed with D plus Kia's stats. Here are the team stats that I typically look at, and then this is the player stats for all the teams in the LCK so far. Um, and in comparison, the opponent that FearX or Fox played against in KT Roaster, KT's stats were just like out of the world. Like their jungler Piosik and Aiming, their AD carry for KT, they just had amazing games the whole series. And you guys probably saw the first game, maybe KT Aiming had a pentakill. So if Aiming was in the optimal lineup that night. So I guess that's a long way of saying I think the stats for Breon are a little bit padded, just given how poorly D plus Kia played. I know they looked really good late in the game and so forth, but early in the game, D plus Kia didn't look that great compared to like T1 and Genji and other elite teams, including KT that I'm just about to talk about. KT, on the other hand, looked really, really solid from the beginning to the end of each game that they played in 2-0 victory that they had. So that's a long way of me saying I really think Live Sandbox's stats should be coming up a little bit when I take a look at these. And that's my eye test part of the analysis. Now, the objective data-based analysis part of me, I went through them already, player by player comparison here. I'll kind of show you what I did. I won't bore you with details, but so Breon, X, and then I went through some of the metrics, including EGPM, and then I compared them for the respective lane. Now, obviously, they only played 2 games so far, so the data is not very accurate. It's not a fair representation of what they're gonna look like. Obviously, they'll go up and down, and they'll average out, mean out, you know, throughout the rest of the season. But kind of just wanted to show you because it's somewhat comparable because they both teams lost 0-2. Both of the teams lost 2 games and they went 0-2, and they played against somewhat great teams in D plus Kia and KT respectively. But like I said, KT has looked much better based on the eye test. But objectively, I'm just looking. I think they are somewhat comparable. But EGPM wise, Fred and Breon had an advantage at 80 carry in the top lane, and then Fox had an advantage in the mid lane to jungle and support. So it's pretty even, like, and I think I mentioned this in my first video. I think on the current patch or in the current meta, jungle 80 carry and support team synergy is the most critical combo I think that you need to have to maximize your chance of winning on this uh, map that's been updated. I think top and the mid laners are fine, and more than last season, they will be left by themselves. So I think individual independent skills for those top and mid laners are more important than ever. So that tells me like I need to look at, first of all, prioritize if there is any edge in those positions between jungle, 80 carry, and support. That's what I'm going to give the most credit to for the chance of winning. And then top and mid laners, I'm just comparing them comparatively independently for those players playing in those roles. And that's kind of what I've done so far. And still, like, you see jungle and support lanes favor Fox. So, and then you can also see the jungling difference is quite contrasting. I think even though, let me show you right here, even though, so you see EGPM is much higher for Willer, who plays for Fox. I mean, up over, more than 20 EGPM. That's quite significant, especially if you look at this, given that KT's jungler, Piosik, I told you that who played out of his mind, 261, but Willer still played pretty well. I mean, given how well Piosik did. And then you see Gideon still at the bottom here. So, and then D plus Kia's jungler Lucid is kind of in the middle here, middle of the pack, above average. So I really think Willer is a better jungler than Gideon. Gideon, let me tell you, he played in the LPL last year for Invictus Gaming IG in the spring around this time last year. And then he got benched, and then he never got to play again for IG or any other team in the summer split for LPL in China. So that kind of tells me that Gideon was just not. I mean, he just did not I mean, he didn't really have a good season for IG, and he had language issues. He just had a hard time adjusting to the life in China. So he came back to LCK and now is starting for Breon. I think he's an average jungler. I mean, he's not as bad as like Sponge, who we saw yesterday. And then maybe he's not as bad as, well, I think that's it. Maybe Sylvie, but um, so yeah, I guess he's pretty bad. So yeah. Anyway, so I think I have the edge in jungler for Fox, And then in the bottom lane is a tricky one. Like I let me see these rosters. So these are kind of the rosters that I go by, that has all the updates, and then these are my power rankings, who I think will go to the playoffs. Where was so Fox Breon? You see, like I guess the continuity aspect of it is another thing that I would like to talk about. Willer played last year for Live Sandbox, now known as Fox. So he is familiar with that team, and he has clear end closer back with him, playing early in the split together, after having played together for a year last year. And then Henna and Execute are the newcomers in the bottom lane. So that's where I have the biggest question mark for Fox if they want to, do well and push for the playoffs. Whereas Gideon is new. So I saw he had a hard time adjusting last game. I know Envy and Effort actually played pretty well last game as well, comparatively. I do think Envy and Effort are probably better than Henna and Execute, but are they like that much better so that it overcomes Gideon's maybe inferior jungling skills against Willer? I don't know. I don't think it will be enough. So that's why I'm kind of actually, as you can tell, that's why I'm kind of leaning Fox. Picking Fox as the winner in this matchup. So I think that's what I'm gonna go with. And hopefully that made sense. Like you guys could follow my thought process on that. And if you guys have any questions, or if you guys want to discuss what should be more important in my analysis, I'm happy to like entertain that as well. I'm always open to making changes to my model, and my analysis model. But last year I think I had like 70 to 75% winning rate in picking matchups. I'm really not scared of picking underdogs, as you can tell. But here, I really think, just given all of that analysis, I think Fox should come out on top tomorrow morning. So match winner, match prediction, Fox wins. And then the next matchup is, I'll put this over here. This next matchup is between Nongshim and Genji. Like I said, Genji beat T1 few days ago. Very impressive. Canyon, metric wise, not very impressive. Canyon's down here, 192. Like you see in comparison, he's kind of toward the bottom. But I think it will come up. I think his numbers will come up. I think he will have much better time getting used to with his new teammates, playing with his new teammates. And Lehens actually look really, really solid in the bottom lane. So that tells me that, if I think Kenyon will play up to par or better than Sylvie, which I think for sure he will, Lehens, I think, gives a huge edge over Peter in the bottom lane, and I think Pays is really good. He was solid last game. And although Jiwoo actually was looked pretty promising in that matchup, they did play against, I think, DRX. DRX, you saw them this morning. They are yeah, they are the worst team in the LCK so far. We'll see how Breon plays today. Tomorrow. But I have DRX and Breon, two worst teams in the LCK. So yeah, we'll see. I have Genji winning. Clearly, they are also on minus 2,000 odds to win, so they should be able to win pretty handedly. Somebody asked me earlier, do I think Nongshim has a chance of winning? Yeah, they have a chance. So I don't think it's crazy to maybe play a Nongshim stack in the main GPP. but I think 1 out of 10 times maybe they have a chance. Sylvie looked pretty good last game, but like I said, all the metrics for Notion players have been padded because they played against DRX. I'll show you. Yeah, I mean, it was 2-0, so DRX looked pretty bad. All right, now lastly, like I said at the beginning of this video, measuring the kill upside or how fast each team likes to play is critical in determining the long stack of players from that team versus short stack. As you can see, total kills over under based on Vegas odds, 24 for the Brion versus Fox game, and then 22.5 or 23, I think I saw last, for Nongshim versus Genji. Now, these are the CKPM, which is the combined kills per minute metric that I seek out for each matchup to see how accurate this total over under number may be. But as you can tell, Brion versus Fox overall CKPM is higher than the other Genji matchup. Now, these are purely based on the last only two matches that they played in, right? So it's not accurate or proportional to how they exactly like to play. And one thing to add to that is both teams lost their respective matchups in their first games, and they did not dictate the pace of the game, as I think kind of they were inferior in the jungle control and so forth. So really, that's another way of saying their those CKPM numbers that I have were swayed by their opponents more rather than these teams in actuality. So yeah, I mean, that's a long way of saying they're not accurate. But if you look at last year's team CKPMs for these teams, now given they have different rosters, they have different players, but most teams have 2 or 3 returning players, so that they are somewhat representative as to how we expect things to pan out. Brion played the slowest, like absolutely slowest last year. You can tell here, I'll show you 0.59. Compare that to everybody else in the LCK. Like that's really slow. That might be the slowest CKPM that I've seen in all major League of Legends regions. Maybe in the LCS there's 1 or 2, but here, yeah, I mean, that's really slow. So and then Left Sandbox, though, on the other hand, played pretty fast. Like you see 0.78 last year in the summer. And you know, just having watched a lot of competitive League of Legends matches over the years, Left Sandbox is notoriously known for initiating team fights. They like to play fast. They like to make things happen. They like to initiate. So yeah, I mean, as long as Closer, their mid laner, is still there, and Willer sometimes likes to play aggressive as well. So I do think, you know, any Fox matches this split will be more than likely higher in kills compared to other matches. So yeah, that's kind of what I have, and so you know, they kind of even out. You know, Brion slow, Sandbox or Fox fast. They kind of even out, but still at the same time, I think this match will be faster and more competitive, which sometimes increases the you know, the potential number of kills. As long as the game stays close, the kill upside can go up. And I mentioned that because Genji versus Nongshim Red Force have the potential of a blowout in favor of Gen G. Total kills over under 20 set at 23, and CKPM is set at 1.30 overall, which is significantly lower than the Fox match. Last year, Nongshim played average CKPM, and then Gen G was a little above average, as you can see on my screen. So yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I have. So yeah, overall, I think the Breon versus Fox match should be higher in kills based on the numbers. But at the same time, like I'll put this in writing as well. Nongshim coming off of big win versus DRX will come into the game, this game, with confidence, and more likely to engage in early team fights. And if they win those early team fights, I mean, there is a potential that they keep this one competitive. Now, do I think that they will be able to do that in more than one match? I don't think so. I mean, it could be one out of the 2 or 3 matches in the series that they can do that. Maybe give Gen G a hard time early game, and then maybe that will kind of bump up the kill upside for this matchup. But more than likely, I think Gen G will dominate and dictate the pace of the game, but also the jungle control of it. And I think this will kind of, tip the scale in favor of Gen G, maybe at 15-20 minute mark. I do think that there is potential that at least one of the 2 games or 3 games, depending on how the series goes, Gen G blows them out and finishes maybe 15-5 or something like that at the end. So that's kind of what I got. These are the potential stacks at last that I will share. Like I said, based on the kill upside, I'll probably go with Fox long stack, Gen G short stack, and then maybe play another lineup with Gen G long stack and Breon short stack. So yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I post a lot more comprehensive write-up and favorite bets and favorite plays and stacks in my TrueDFS premium write-up. So please go check it out. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you liked the video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to TrueDFS on YouTube. It will help me a lot and keep me motivated to keep making these videos. We still have about 9 more months to go. So yeah, and then lastly, we have I think a huge weekend ahead of us. Tomorrow on Saturday we have LCK. Obviously, we just talked about that. We have EC in Europe, and then LCS in the US, and then we have LCK again, and then we have LPL coming up in the next few days. So yeah, I'll try to keep up with my contents. Hopefully, I'm hoping that I can make videos for each of those slates. Otherwise, I'm hoping that I can make them at least for LCK, LPL every slate. For LEC and LCS, I'll try to. It's kind of hard. It's during the day, so which means I'll have to make videos maybe earlier in the morning and so forth. But yeah, I hope you like the videos. If you maybe hit more likes and then subscribes, subscriptions, I'll be more inclined to make those videos for other leagues. So I hope you enjoy the video. Good luck out there. I hope one of you guys takes down the main GBP. Have a good one. Bye-bye.